Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
What up, Glenn?
What's up, my brother? I just saw a picture of you that Brian took for the photo album. Man, it's amazing what those filters do, man. They make you look real sexy.
Was that thing Glamour Shots or something?
It was,
you used to be able to go in and get like all glamour, now it's AI, right?
I mean, they looked at you, man. That AI did a job on you, and they made you funny.
I'm very Tom Cruise-esque.
I thought Matt Damon, but whatever.
Whatever.
Or Pierce Bronson, or whatever the guy's name is.
Hey, I'm not trying to pump up your ego or anything.
Yeah,
but
go ahead,
no
Brian.
filter on that.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
No filter?
No filter.
Oh, my gosh. Look at you, man. Look at his chest pump up.
I know, right? Good
You're
stuff.
funny, man.
So, hey, good news for you.
I love good news, man. Bring it up.
Table for three this
I
morning.
love Table for Threes.
Yeah.
And we connect with the absolute coolest people out there.
Yeah.
You know, and we certainly did here, and it's great. But I'll let you do the intro.
Yeah. So Glenn reached out to her, or Stephanie. Somehow they connected on maybe Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm not sure what one of those social medias.
It was not the newspaper.
It was not. Yes, it was not the newspaper. And anyway, then we connected. Stephanie and I connected, and she's full of energy. I love her story. I just love her energy, and you know, we are pro sobriety here, and Stephanie is pro sobriety. I mean, everyone kind of gets to the destination with different ingredients, right? Like your chili is different than my chili. It doesn't make your chili bad and my chili better. It's just it works for me, right?
Yep.
And
yep.
So anyway,
it's a good metaphor there, Chief.
I know, right? Well, it's chili season. It's always
funny.
chili season.
You know, out there on social media, right? I mean, the only thing I stand up to, and we've had all kinds of programs on here. And
yes.
The only thing I stand, and we're open, we're pro sobriety, but the only thing I will stand up against is when somebody says the 12 steps doesn't work.
Right.
And I'm like, that's foolish. Look at my life.
Right.
I have 10-year track record.
It might not work for them, but it worked for me.
But you can't say a blanket statement. It doesn't work.
Right. And here's my thing, and I feel this to my very core, is that if AA doesn't work for somebody, don't quit there. There are other programs. There are other ways to get sober. Work it. I mean, because the alternative could be death, and that breaks my heart. So, I mean, let's just go for it. What do you think about that, Stephanie?
Good morning, Mike and Glenn. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it so much. I absolutely agree with you. I'm pro sobriety. Whatever path leads you to recovery is a gift and a blessing. I also am a 12-step follower. It worked for me. It was introduced in treatment immediately as an option. And I embraced it right away. My dad is sober for 34 years.
Wow, how cool is that? So he was always an example in your life.
He was an example, huge example. I actually didn't start drinking until I was 21 because of that, because I knew my genetics. I just thought I was going to I had a feeling that I was going to be an alcoholic.
Wow.
Here I am.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's he is very private. He does not. He's not in AA. He's very involved in his church. Several of his priests are in the AA fellowship, and so he has been an example. Though I, being my chatty, outgoing. Self, never had any problems sharing in AA or talking in front of other people, and so it has worked for me. Absolutely.
Well, that is awesome that you had that in your life. Like, I didn't have that in my life, and AA was introduced to me in times of desperation. Like, as an example, my wife would say, "Go to a meeting. There's a thing called AA. You need help," right? So that's how AA was introduced to me. But it wasn't really until I went to rehab as well that I understood the program of Alcoholics Anonymous that things started to make sense for me. And I thought, And for me, I was so desperate, I embraced it out of I had no other alternatives. I was in a bad place.
Desperation.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The gift of desperation. I received that gift.
Yeah, right.
In a jail cell. But that's not where my story started. In early, let's see, like in 2019, my drinking was bad. It had been progressing. I had always been a fun party girl, like in my 20s. And we know it progresses, it gets worse. And I had never done any of those things that they say alcoholics do. I didn't drink in the morning. I was an ICU nurse. I was successful. I didn't have those classic assumptions about what an alcoholic is or looks like, because I do get a lot of that also. And as it progressed, and the ending of my drinking career, it progressed rapidly. I was a blackout drinker always, but then it started having not so much fun, and I used to call them bad performances, like blacking out, throwing a fit or a temper tantrum over God knows what. And so I knew where I was going. I always knew where I was headed because I always had it in the back of my head. I knew I should have never started.
Right.
The first time I drank when I was 21 and got tipsy, I had a craving like within days.
Right.
And I drank on a weekday at home alone. I thought this is not good. And it continued for 20 years thinking this is not good. This is not good. I'm going in the wrong direction. So by 2019, it was bad. I was already having to drink to stop the shakes. And I'm an ICU nurse. And I was watching what was evolving in China in 2019, watching them build this huge hospital. And I thought, why are they building this huge hospital if this is no big deal? Then I watched COVID spread. And my hurricane drinking problem met the tornado of COVID ICU nursing.
The perfect storm. Man. The perfect storm.
Yeah, it was bad. So I was able to work until May of 2020. I was struggling hardcore. I could not make it through a 12-hour shift. I was shaking and sweating and already in all the PPE gear and mask and gown. And I just wanted to make it through the initial outbreak in Milwaukee, working to help my coworkers and the patients. And I took a leave of absence and said I had, which is true, that I had PTSD, depression from ICU nursing, which everybody was taking a mental leave absence. They allowed PTSD days, and I intended on getting help. I'm not quite sure what happened. For 5 or 6 weeks, I did not get help, and I was, I would say, annihilated 24/7 on the couch. And yeah.
Gosh,
so
you have a family at this point, right? You have 3 kids and a husband at this point, and you got 5
Correct.
weeks annihilation
on the couch.
Yep.
I remember my oldest son was 8 at the time, and I had this moment where I heard him and I remembered this, and he said, "Daddy, why won't Mom get off the couch?" Because it was so unlike me. I was that mom that was on field trips, chaperoning, doing everything. That was part of the pressure was I wanted to have a successful career and be a great mom and not buy McDonald's and make homemade dinners. And as long as I kept drinking mommy's wine while I was cooking and making dinner, not making lunches until the end, but it just kept going. So I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing to these kids? I brought these kids into this world. I knew I needed to get sober. I knew I was going to have to be hospitalized for alcohol withdrawal. I don't know why I couldn't ask for help during that time period. I was waiting to get caught, and it was torture. I don't know why I didn't ask, but I got caught, thankfully. And once I got caught, I said, I need to go to the hospital. I need detox. I'm drinking to stop the shakes. And nobody knew. Not one person. I was lying to everybody.
Wow.
Hiding bottles, sneaking. Trust was broken. Nobody gets to AA without you don't wake up one day. Some people do. I didn't wake up one day and go, whoa, I think this is a problem. I'm going to stop. Right. I had to go through this whole, I didn't have that, oh, I'm going to bow out gracefully. I had to like really,
sure.
I didn't
had to crash.
Yeah. I had to go out with a fantastic bang. Alcohol withdrawal in the hospital was absolutely awful. I've seen it. I had every symptom in the book, except I wasn't, I didn't have delirium. I wasn't mean. I wasn't hitting people. Like I've been hit as a nurse and people pulling out their IVs and like superhuman strength. And I just laid there, humbly grateful for the amazing nurses that I had. The drinking culture here in Wisconsin is quite an issue. And so I was worried going into the hospital about how I was going to be treated as a nurse. And I thought people were going to think, oh, she should have known better or something like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's
so
how
what,
in
so
June of 2020, that's when my recovery journey started.
Wow. And we're going to fill in some detail, but
Sure.
we don't do video here, but you look fantastic. Sure. You look so healthy.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously,
you got an amazing smile, which probably wasn't there
and
back then.
And a great shirt as well. So,
thank you.
Yes, but so somewhere in there, you went from, like me, and I related so much to your story of consistent annihilation and just being totally out of it, and letting people down, and the comments from my family and that really were hurtful, but there was nothing I could do to stop the train wreck. I was on a train wreck. So I related to so much to that, but something triggered in you where you got really freaking serious. And I could tell just by your tonality that you wanted this at this point. You wanted it more than anything. Am I right?
I did. And that is the cunning, baffling, and powerful part of alcoholism. I wanted so bad to get sober. I hated what vodka was doing to me. I hated what it was doing to my life and to my family. I willingly accepted that I needed to go to the hospital. I went to treatment, and I came out and I drank.
Yeah. Wow.
I did in 2020 get a couple periods of time with 60 days, and then I would have a little slip up. Now back to the steps. I was working steps 1, 2, and 3. I was avoiding steps 4 and 5 like the plague.
Oh, okay.
My sponsor is this she's like 30 years older than me or something. And I couldn't believe I had to tell this sweet little old lady all this.
Yeah,
dirt.
this nasty. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so I was avoiding it, even though I heard everybody say it works if you work it. You have to work the steps or take them or work them, whatever.
Right.
Mercy over whatever. Do it.
Yes.
So I was doing the 1, 2, 3 hamster wheel, and in December of 2020, because of the things that I mentioned earlier and trust being broken, it was rough in my house. And I'm going to leave it at that because that's not my story to tell. What I will say is that there was an argument at my house in December of 2020, and I left and I drank while I was driving. Like driving, I'm talking nasty, cheap vodka out of the bottle, not on the rocks, disgusting.
You've been there.
A little funny thing, when I got to the hospital in June, they were like, how many drinks per day? I'm like, drinks?
Bottles.
Yeah, right.
How many bottles?
I don't measure in cocktails. Right.
I said, I don't know. There's no drinks. Like, I don't, you guys don't get what's going on here.
Right,
this is real.
Right.
So anyway, back to December, I was driving. I don't know where I was going. I was going south on 94 towards Chicago. My parents live in the suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. I hit a vehicle at estimated over 85 miles per hour. My car spun out, did a 360, like a semi could have hit me. Another car could have hit me. My minivan smashed into the median. My bumper fell off with my license plate. And all the windows shattered. There was airbags deployed. There was glass all over me. And I kept driving.
And you kept driving.
And I kept driving, which the nurse in me normally stops and helps people all the time. It's so uncharacteristic of me. I don't remember it. And I was in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, and I crossed the border into Illinois. So I got a DUI in each state for that event.
Wait, isn't there double jeopardy?
Everybody has that story where somebody says, oh, we've never heard of this before. No, you've really topped this one. And both of my attorneys in Illinois and in Wisconsin said, I really did it this time. They'd never seen that before.
I've never heard of that.
Wow. So where do you end up?
In Lake County Jail, in Waukegan, Illinois, I think. It was a tall building, 6 stories. I had a window, which I haven't been to jail before. I hear that's a rarity in jails that you have a window. And
luxury accommodations.
Yeah. I woke up in jail. And there's nothing worse, like they say, like everything that I had heard so far in AA, there's nothing worse than a head full of AA and a belly full of booze, especially when you wake up in jail. And it was just absolute hell for many reasons. I was bruised and sore, but I was uninjured. I knew that I injured people. I did not know the extent of the injuries for 3 days. So my ICU nurse brain is sitting there going, head trauma, spleen, abdominal trauma, bleeding, they're dying. I'm going to be in jail for vehicular homicide. My kids are going to never have a mother. But I did find out 3 days later. So sleep was minimum. I was in jail. That's what happens. That's what you deserve. I had been on a medication that you're supposed to be weaned off of, and I was not weaned. So there was probably some very uncomfortable symptoms due to that. And that is where my transformation happened. I have come to accept that that car accident was given to me by God to give me the gift of desperation. I believe that now I have learned to accept that I survived because God wasn't done with me yet.
Look at God using you this morning at our coffee shop.
Thank you. It is an amazing honor and gift to share my story. I share it so that somebody could take that higher bottom and bow out gracefully. You don't have to go all that way. And then you think you hit rock bottom when you're hospitalized for alcohol withdrawal, and that rock bottom has a trap door.
Right.
And then you wake up in jail. And I know there's worse. It could have kept going and gotten way worse. But for me, waking up in jail on December 21st and missing Christmas with my children, because I was in jail for 6 days because I was waiting to be extradited.
For the other DUI. Right.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, I was waiting to be extradited back to Wisconsin. So
let's flip the script. So
sure.
you have this transformation, and immediately, first of all, we got to get you healthy. So you have to go to detox. And then do you go to rehab? And then tell us about your journey towards this smile that you have on your face right now.
Yes. Okay, so a little bit more of jail, and then I'll get to the brighter stuff. Well, this is bright. So the social worker, I guess, visits everybody if you're there for 2 or 3 days, and I was. And so all I wanted was my big book. They had trashy romance novels on the bookshelf, and I'm thinking, that's not what I need right now. That's the last thing I need. I need a big book. And the social worker said, can I get you one? And I said, oh my gosh, please, yes. And she brought it back to me the next day, and it was a softcover edition. I should have it here. And I opened it randomly, and the first thing I read was on the top of a page was, if we fail to complete these steps, we inevitably go back to drinking.
Right.
And I thought, this is it. This is the answer. What is it? What is it? And I went back to the previous page. and it was talking about steps 4 and 5. If we fail, which is exactly what I was avoiding, which is exactly the answer that I had been. It hit me like a lightning bolt. I had tears streaming down my face. My window, that's why I mentioned this, the clouds parted and the sun came out and had like those rays when it's partly cloudy over, and I had a view of Lake Michigan, and I love Lake Michigan. Rough jail accommodations, correct?
Yeah, right.
So that was my answer. I had been on the floor in that jail cell begging God to relieve me of the cravings and the mental obsession, because I could, like, it wouldn't shut up. It was constantly in my head, like, tick. And I promised him that if he helped me with that I would carry the message, that I would hold the door open for the newcomer, that I would volunteer, that I would be an active member and share this story of a miracle, because I was always kind of doubting Thomas growing up in the Catholic way that I was brought up. And this AA and this episode helped me to merge those two things together, like my accepting my own higher power, and that it doesn't have to be how I was raised, and that I can have my own forgiving understanding. So on December 26th, my dad came and picked me up. Obviously a very emotional reunion. He has felt terrible. It's not his fault. I mean, there's genetics, of course, but I mean, it is what it is. I fully knew it. I'm a nurse. Like, I knew everything that was happening. It's not, So I did go to treatment again. My attorney in Wisconsin would not take my case unless I went to treatment, because I had within 6 months been to treatment. I was an admitted alcoholic. I was struggling. And he was actually an attorney that cared, and he would not defend me if he thought I was going to go back out there and do this again and possibly kill me. Again. And that was a huge cost. It was not covered by my network. I took money out of my 401k. I'm paying it back. It'll be done in January of 26. The best money I ever invested. Absolutely worth it.
Love that.
I felt, when I walked out of jail, I felt God walking by my side. I feel a presence. Like, I don't hear God talking to me. I feel the presence there. And there was 2 buildings, and we had to walk back and forth, and it was out in the country, and it was beautiful, and it was winter, and it was snowing, and I would walk over there, and like, I felt presence, and I felt that something was going to be different this time. I know we say we never know. You never say never. We're never going to drink. Something had been pounded into my head that nothing justifies the first drink. It's not going to fix an argument. It's not going to fix a relationship, a death of a friend or family member. It's not going to fix any of those things.
Right.
Nothing justifies the first drink.
Right. Yep. Yeah. It's boy, what a great story. That presence and that knowing, I knew there was a point in time where I knew this was going to be different, and not because of anything I was going to do. I just knew this time was going to be different. I knew it. And Glenn, you had multiple relapses, but this time around, at what point did you know this was going to be different?
I knew it after my relapse at a work conference in Palm Springs, 6 hospitals in 1 week, and an 8-day detox. And I sat on my counselor's floor on a Friday afternoon. I couldn't even sit in a chair. I was so hurt. And I said, I will do whatever you tell me to do. I just cannot take another drink. And I said that bullshit before, but the first time in my life, I meant it then with everything I had, and I mean it today with everything I had. And Stephanie, I'll tell you, it is such night and day listening to your story, but watching you, I mean, you're 2 totally different scenarios. Just the light you are today and listening to the darkness. And it just screams the transformation. And man, I wish we had a ton more time. The one thing I really want to point out, as I was listening to you and I wrote it down, is, when you shared part of your story and you're like, the nurse in me helps others. But yet the nurse in you really needed to help yourself. And that's the switch, that's the commitment that you made. And man, it just seems like life is much better today than it was back then. And it hasn't been a significant amount of time, right? It's not like you're looking, over the last 20 years, I got from there to here.
Right.
You know, we're only talking about a couple of years here.
4 years and some change. After that rehab stay, I have been able to maintain my sobriety through my 12-step meetings. Zoom has been huge in my recovery. I got sober on Zoom during COVID. So I'm always, some people are like, oh, we hate Zoom meetings. You can't tell me it doesn't work because I did it.
Yeah, no, I've got a couple of very healthy Zoom communities in our area.
Yes, and I still do it almost every day when I'm making lunches or on a Saturday morning. I already did it this morning. I want to mention the Phoenix. I have shared a lot about it. So my 12-step program, I stuck with them for 2 years. And I thought like and I call them my old timers, but they drove me, they helped me, they did everything for me. And I got to a point where I thought there has to be something more. Like there has to be more than just coffee and dinner after a meeting. And so I Googled sober activities in Milwaukee. I found the Phoenix. It's a national nonprofit organization. And they really helped me transform into what you're seeing now, this person who's outspoken about it. I can keep my 12-step program name private and anonymous and talk about recovery and sobriety and recover out loud and proud to help those who are still suffering. And maybe somebody's going to hear this message and believe that 12-step programs work. Look into the Phoenix for sober activities, volleyball, social events, active events, rock climbing, karaoke, poetry readings, art events. I mean, the list goes on. And it has really transformed and been the best addition to my 12-step program. I know that we're running out of time. And so I will zip it unless you have any other questions.
I do. I have a question. Yes. Just leave the listener who's on the trajectory and they're struggling right now. And you said in your share that you don't have to go to the I-94 crash. There's a place where you can get off the train, get out of the minivan and park it safely and go into recovery. Maybe I'm leading you, but give a piece of advice to somebody who is new to the program, who's susceptible to a relapse, or somebody who's thinking about being in the program. Best advice for them.
My best advice is if you're struggling with cravings and obsessions and you're wondering why this isn't working for you, please don't quit 1 second before your miracle happens, because it's coming. It's going to be there. It's going to happen. And you just have to keep, no matter how many times you fail and fall, as long as you get up one more time than you fall down, you're going to win if you keep getting up. You're
a winner. I'm so glad we connected.
You. Love to have you come
great.
back.
Yeah,
love to have you come back, Stephanie. Thank you very much for taking some time.
And thanks for the lead on the Phoenix. We're gonna post that into our resource room on the website so that people have a connect to it.
Yes, thephoenix.org.
Okay, awesome.
That's great.
Stephanie, thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Great to meet you. Thanks for coming on.
Nice to see you guys.
I love your T-shirt.
Happy Saturday. Have a great, safe, and sober day.
Happy
You
sober.
too. Happy sober.
Bye-bye.
Happy sober. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.